Jump into the comments and leave your headcanon or roleplay for No Man's Sky down below. If you are a regular to No Man's Sky, I know that you have one, so don't lie to me, alright? The game has been around for far too long, and it's far too vast for you to not have something inside of it that's not your own. So have at it. And no worries, this is a safe place because we are going to talk about my personal headcanon right now. On screen, you are seeing what is called a forged passport, and in No Man's Sky it has a pretty simple use, which is to help regain lost faction reputation. It was introduced with the Outlaws expansion we got about 2 years ago alongside our pirate faction, and the idea was that if you participated in any pirate activities, this little virtual document would save you from tanking any positive progress you had made with the dominant species in that system. Most people, aka travelers in No Man's Sky, likely started a new game when this expansion was added in, and have had little use of a forged document since they have probably given in to full-blown piracy in those playthroughs, which, I do play Skull and Bones and a little Sea of Thieves, so we do advocate a little in-game video game piracy here on this channel, so I do respect that. But, as for me, I am currently powering through the galaxies of No Man's Sky with one main save, and I haven't quite hit my villain arc just yet, so I dabble with a little piracy here and there, so I get to use the forged documents quite a bit. But, the passports really aren't that necessary unless you're at negative faction rep is probably what you may be saying. And yes, random person, you are correct, but this is where my headcanon and a little bit of roleplay is in order, because after watching a full season of Andor, yes, Andor, I was inspired to use forged documents as my main role-playing tool for disguising my identity. For those who are unfamiliar, there is a character in the show played by Stellan Skarsgård named Luthen Rael. Luthen is playing a few different roles in the show. One of the roles is a fine antiquities broker for the wealthy on Coruscant. The other involves a spy network he has created to stand against the Empire. Luthen will regularly hide his identity using what I can only imagine are a version of No Man's Sky's forged documents for Star Wars. This man has basically become the essence of my No Man's Sky playthrough, and I use the forged documents the same way that Luthen Rael uses them. You see, I have created a franchise of sorts in No Man's Sky that involves running a mercenary fleet, a trade fleet, a mining fleet, and several exploration vessels, in addition to a settlement for the families of those crew members to live in. We'll say that this was created using my normal persona, similar to the one Luthen had cultivated over the years as an antiquities broker. I had to poke my head into the cobalt counterfeiting trade, as one tends to do in the early days of No Man's Sky, but once I got everything going, the idea would be is that I moved away from that life and kept my nose clean once I got my first capital ship and began to create the fleet that I just mentioned. As my reputation grew with the guilds tied to the various fleets I owned, I made more and more money, but I also found myself dealing with more and more pirates, and I would eventually learn that some of these guild members kept local pirates on their payroll specifically to attack small, independent fleets like mine, keeping us from gaining the riches they felt only the trade guild should have. This is where the other side of Luthen comes into play, because all this happens right around the time our new Outlaw expansion arrives. From here, my roleplay falls into me working with these new Outlaw and Pirate factions, attacking those very same guild members on a regular basis, disguised as one of the Outlaws. And to hide my true identity, I was introduced to the Forged Passport. Similar to Luthen, I use the forged passport to enter into new systems I plan to do unscrupulous things in with an entirely new identity. I roleplay that whatever loadout I'm using at the time of me using a forged passport will become that new identity. So whatever appearance I'm using, whatever gear that I'm using, whatever multi-tool, whatever ship that I'm in at that time are all registered at the space station under a quote-unquote new persona. Once this happens, I will keep the same ship and outfit on as I operate in the system I'm working in. I won't perform certain actions like calling in my freighter for support. I'll immediately dismiss my squadron if they happen to show up and defend me. I basically pretend that I'm a normal Galaxy Network citizen right up until the moment the system authorities are called in for something stupid I did. Once this happens, my cover is naturally blown and the local authorities are likely learning about the fake passports I have given them just don't belong to me. I'll usually hightail it out of that system as soon as I can if this happens. Once in a new system, I'll call in my freighter and either resume my work as a respectable member of the galactic community, or I'll look into another system I plan to do some seedy things in. All it takes is a change of gear, a new idea, and a new ship. At least if you keep a random headcanon and roleplay the hell out of No Man's Sky like myself. But that is it for me, folks. I have been Cash the Stampede. Thanks for coming by. Have a good one.